Tom here from Inspiration Millworks, and thank you for joining us for another shop update. I believe this is actually number 15. I'll have to go back and look, but I think we're at 15. Just a little change of pace for this week. We're focused on getting the CNC Mill running, which you can kind of see behind me here. In this week's video, we take a look at some new software and hardware we got for the CNC Mill, and then get the basics covered and configured and go from there. So let's start with that and then take a look quickly at the setup, and I'll bring you back in a little bit. So the first thing we had to figure out when we were planning for the CNC Mill was what type of software we're going to use for our controller. Today we're looking at the ArtSoft Newfangled Solutions website, and there's a good reason for that. When I first set up the machine that became the controller, I was using old hardware that I had laying around here. They're old Pentium 4 machines. Very basic machines, but they ran the controller just fine. I tried Linux CNC first, and it worked very well actually. Pretty lightweight, does a good job. Then I tried running it under Windows 7 with Mach4, and Mach4 ran fairly well also. What I found though is both the machines that I was using, they're just underpowered. And so I got a new machine and I started looking at what to do for the controller again. And the first thing that I ran into is, so I was feeling pretty comfortable with Mach4, and Mach4 is very widely used. Tormach uses Mach4, or they did until they released PathPilot, which is, believe it or not, actually based on Linux CNC. But I've been using Mach4, and with these old machines, it ran just fine, to a point. And one of the things that I found was that it definitely bogged down a little bit, but it relies on parallel ports, or actually, I take that back. My machine relies on a parallel port, and the old machines had it, but the new machine I bought does not. And so I was in a bit of a dilemma on what to do. The simplest and easiest thing, and actually what I do for the plasma cam, is I got a PCIe parallel port card and installed that and ran that way. And I could do that as well with Mach4. But Mach4 doesn't take advantage of 64-bit operating systems or larger memory addressing or things like that. So I started looking at Mach4. And there's not a whole lot out there about Mach4. And I thought, you know what the hell? Let's try it. What's the worst that could happen? I could decide I hate all this stuff, right? But so I'm going for Mach4. Mach4 has been completely rewritten. It is plug-in based. It is tons faster than Mach4, but it's still really new, and it's taking an awful long time to get completed. It's not really done yet, but it's good enough for what I need. The downside is, again, with the whole parallel port thing, not only would I have to get a card, but now I have to pay an extra $25 to enable the parallel port card for Mach4. And so I'm starting to look at this, and I'm looking at my options, and I really wanted to use Mach4. I decided that, yes, that's what I was going to do. I downloaded a trial version, and I started playing around with it. But, that $25 for the parallel port, and frankly, parallel ports, do I really want to keep worrying about these cards and stuff like that? So I started investigating once more. Even so far as looking at the breakout board I use for my relays and everything, going, well, this thing's parallel port. Can I find a USB one? Do I want to switch over to like a Gecko-based drive or something along those lines? Well, what I ended up doing is this. I went over to PMDX, and they have their Smart Bob. My wife loves that. Breakout board. Bob. Breakout board. Anyways, as you can see here, the entire controller, the USB to parallel controller, is built into that the small part there where you plug it in, and this is already proven to work with Mach4, so we know it works. And better still, you could buy the bundle, which is what I ended up doing. I bought the USB to parallel conversion, the PMDX 411, along with Mach 4 as a bundle. Saved me like $10 on Mach 4 that way. But you know, I think this is going to be a good option for me. It keeps it flexible for the future, while also alleviating some of my dependence on the parallel ports, cards, and things of that nature. So I would definitely check them out. Okay, so we've connected via remote desktop to the machine running Mach 4. And just a reminder, to get it installed, just download the Mach4 software from ArcSoft. Right? Run the installer, but don't open anything. Same with the software for the PMDX 411. Run the installers, but don't plug anything in yet. Once you've done that, you get this PMDX sample. Okay? I make a copy of that profile so that you don't overwrite anything. At that point, and here you can see, you just click on it, make copy, really simple. You don't have to worry about overwriting anything in the future. Once you've done all this, then you can plug in the cables. Right? If you plug in the cables too soon, Windows tries to be a little too helpful in installing drivers for you. So make those copies, get it in place, plug the cables in, and you're ready to launch the software. Oh, one note. You can't have spaces in here, by the way, guys. No spaces. Underscore, dash is fine, but no spaces. So let's launch it, get it started, and immediately you'll see that Mach 4 loads much faster than Mach 3. And keep in mind, we're on a remote desktop, so it's that's going to have some effect on this. It's not the Mach 4 software. Like, I'll load some code in later and you'll see what happens. It's because of that. So Mach 4 is all plugin based, and here you can find there's the plugin for our motion controller. Right? Configuring the plugins is as simple as clicking on the right hand side where it says configure. It gives you a bit of information about the driver, the firmware that you're using, the build that you're on for Mach. From there, we'll go over to the motor controls. And I was lucky. My motor and direction was the defaults, right? So 2, 4, 6, 8, and pins 3, 5, 7, 9 are the direction. I did have to make some changes on the forward or reverse in the direction, but it was pretty straightforward in there. I had actually assumed they were all reverse, but they're not. I had a couple forward, or sorry, 1 forward, 2 forward, 1 reverse, and I'm not using motor 4 yet. Moving in for some of the features. Oops. Sorry, I kind of went back and forth here. And this voiceover thing is killing me. I wish the recording had just worked the first time. But anyways, guys, the features. I'm not using any of these features at this time, but it gives you a lot of flexibility to have pumps and spindle speeds and all kinds of things. Frankly, I don't have any of that on this little desktop mill. But if you had it, you can control it right from here using that breakout board. You can see here. Now, this is the one place that I want to do some experimenting with some of these buffers, because I have noticed in my in just playing around that sometimes if I click and hold the jog button a little too, I get a little bit of a delay when after I release it. It doesn't stop quite as quickly as I'd like. So I'm going to play with that a little bit, and then you can set your debugging as well. So should go up to the debug. Yep. So you can do your standard Windows debugging, or you can have your debugging go into the Mach debugging. So we'll close this. It's going to look like it's not working. It's me. I had a PEBCAC error here. If you guys don't know what PEBCAC is, look that one up. You'll like it. Anyways, I figured out that, hey, there's a hidden window. It's not Mach. It was me. As I look, hey, there it is. Bam, hidden window. Close it. Mach's working just fine. User error. Okay, so that's how you configure the plugin. From there, you would configure Mach. Pretty straightforward. If you've done that before, you'll know how to do it here. Just for fun, I load up some G-code. Just a little something that I had in here. It's about 1,200 lines, so it's not a terribly large bit of code, but you can see how quickly Mach4 responds. If you've ever used Mach3 and you see some of this, you'll see the difference right away. This is significantly faster. I am running into one question though that I'm in the past on Mach3 when I did an M6 tool change. I would get prompted for the change, and I'm not getting that so far. I'm sure I'm doing something wrong, but Mach4, for whatever reason, it's not prompting me on the tool change. So when I was running this kind of in a preview without any tooling in it, just press and start, it would just run and blow right past where I was supposed to do a tool change. So if somebody could give me a little guidance on this one, if any of you out there have run into this in the past, please let me know, because I'm all ears. On this one, it's just kind of playing around a little bit here, but yeah, and you're not seeing the preview. I didn't notice this until I looked at the video itself, but the toolpath rendering is so much better on Mach4 than it was on Mach3, and very, very responsive. I can switch windows without any worries. So I'm all in all, I'm pretty happy so far. I mean, I've only just done some real basic things with Mach4 so far, but we'll be playing with that. And again, configuring Mach4, not too hard. I only made a couple of small changes so far. I set my my units to inch instead of metric. Made sure that was set. Most of this was just the defaults in here. I did also change my my other units to per rev because I knew what my revolutions were. I know that it's 200 steps per revolution. And I also know that I'm in a 0.200 pitch lead screw, which is really important as I move forward, because the next step is to get into the motor tuning. So when you go into your motors, you select the motors that you have, and you can have multiple motors per axis. But so just some simple math: the 200 steps divided by the 0.200 pitch lead screw gives me 1,000 units per revolution. So it tells me how granular I can be on my lead screws. So I haven't done any other tuning, my ramp up, anything else. That's all I did, was make sure that that was right. You can do your inputs. Right? There's not a whole lot in there. Your axes, your inputs, your outputs. I didn't do anything on this aside from the e-stop, which is way down at the bottom. I came over to the e-stop and I did active low. I don't have an actual e-stop button right now. I'm relying on keyboard input, so I have to set active low here. I will put a pendant, a USB pendant, controller that has an e-stop on it. That's on order, and I'll get that soon. But that was all I did on configuring Mach. I loaded up some G-code and started playing. So I've got a lot to learn, but the basics of it were pretty straightforward. Well, I hope you learned a little something about about the setup. Hope I didn't confuse anyone. I'm very new to all of the G-code part of things, so I'd love some feedback there. So I know there's a bunch of CNC machinists out there who are just excellent at this kind of thing, and I am not even at the apprentice level yet when it comes to that. So by all means, please give me some feedback, pointers. Put me in the right direction. I work hard. I will figure it out. So thank you very much. One other note, and I know many of you know this already, but I am an Army veteran. I guess officially I'm a disabled veteran, although I don't let it slow me down too much typically. But in this case, it has been, and I talked about it a little bit recently about having some back issues, and so I will be going in for a bit more planning on what to do after many years of dealing with these back issues. I'm finally at a point where I have to do something about it. If I do have to do that, we may be a little slower on making some videos here, but hope everyone understands, and thank you all for watching regularly and all of the great comments and interactions. It's the end of the video. We'll see who's still on here. Martin, thank you so much, Texas gun guy. has been great to me over the last couple of weeks, getting me lots of information and helping out. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And with that, I'm going to sign off for the week. Thank you very much. Have a great one.